Hi, I'm Colin. Welcome to Learn Somatics. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use somatic movements to resolve an anterior pelvic tilt. Anterior pelvic tilt looks like that. So the back is arched strongly, you've got a lordotic or sway back spine, and the pelvis is tipped forward into the front. So the belt buckle in the front would be lower than the belt in the back. And it's usually caused by tightness in the lower back muscles and also some tightness in the hip flexors as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to release the low back, we're going to release the hip flexors, and we're going to see if that doesn't help us resolve our anterior pelvic tilt and get the pelvis back in a more natural resting position. Okay, so before we start this sequence for anterior pelvic tilt, I want you to lay out on your back like so, and take your hands and just slide them under your low back so you can get a sense of how much space there is between your low back and the floor. If you're in anterior pelvic tilt, you're probably going to find that there's quite a bit of distance between your low back and the floor. And it may be a little bit asymmetrical, like one side might be slightly higher than the other. That's fine, we're going to address that. So just take a mental note of that, remember how it feels like, so you can check it again at the end. Okay, for the first movement, knees bent, feet flat, like so. And we're going to begin with some arch and flatten to begin to take this tension out of the lower back. So when you're ready, we're going to roll our pelvis towards our heels, pressing our tail down into the floor. And we're going to feel how that actually increases the arch in our lower back. That's exactly what we want. We want to arch our back deliberately so that we can slowly cease to arch our back. Just let the lower back come on down to the floor. And we're going to repeat that about 5 times. Inhaling as we arch, pressing the tail down, making our back more lordotic, more sway back on purpose, and then slowly and deliberately letting the back come back to rest. Inhale on the effort when we arch. Exhale on the relaxation phase as we come down, and see how smooth you can make it. Really let your back come all the way back to the table. Let's do 2 more. Inhaling to arch. Exhaling as we relax smoothly as we can back to rest. And then one last time, inhaling to arch, and then slowly relaxing all the way back to rest. Okay, so from here, we've already relaxed our back now somewhat. So we want to get our hip flexors involved a little bit. We're going to do this one leg at a time. So arch your back again, about half what you're capable of. So just so that the back is in a bit of an arch. Now you're going to lift your foot, 1 foot off the ground, by flexing your hip. So you're going to bring your knee towards your chest, but keep your back arched. And the lower leg, don't have it up like this in the air, let it just hang down nice and loose. So now your back is arched and your hip is flexed. And from there, slowly let your foot come back to the ground, and then slowly let your back flatten back down. And we're going to do this 4 times. We're going to arch, we're going to flex the hip, lower leg is relaxed, the back is arched, the hip is flexed. Slowly let the foot come back down, slowly let the lower back relax. Take a pause, a rest, and we'll do 2 more. Arch, flex the hip, drawing the knee to the chest. Slowly let the foot come down, slowly let the back come down. So now we're relaxing our low back and our hip flexors. Last one, arching, flex the hip, and let's try and land our foot and our hip at the same time on this one. So see if you can do this. Can you let your back and your foot come down together? And pause. Okay, now lay out flat and just notice what that feels like. So you'll probably notice that now the side you've been working with, the low back on that side feels flatter to the floor. That's because you've released both the hip flexor and the lower back on that side. All right, let's do the same thing on the other side so we can be even. So again, back to our working position, knees bent, feet flat. And we're going to arch, and this time we're going to pick up the second side leg, flexing the second side hip. Again, let the lower leg be nice and relaxed. Slowly let the foot come down. Slowly let the back come down. Remember, you want those relaxation phases to be smooth. Let's arch, flex the hip, Foot comes back down slowly. Low back flattens out slowly. Pause at rest. And then repeat. Arch the back. Flex the hip. Feel the tension you're creating. When you arch the back, you're creating tension in the lower back. When you flex the hip, you're creating tension in the fold of your hip in the front. And then you're slowly letting the foot come down, relaxing that tension. And then slowly letting your back come down, relaxing that tension. And then take a pause at rest. And we'll do one more, and we're going to try and land our back and our foot at the same time. So we're going to arch, flex the hip, like so. And now this is harder because we're doing two things at once. So we're going to try and let our back come down as our foot comes down, like so. Okay, again, lay out flat. See how that feels. And if you've been doing that slowly and carefully, both sides of your back should be starting to feel more even now and closer to the floor, to the ground. You can take your hands again and just see if there's less space between your low back and the ground than what you had at the beginning. Okay, let's build on this a little more. So let's bend the legs. When we're in the next bit, we're going to be using both legs together, and you're not going to lift your feet off the floor. I don't want your feet, the soles of your feet, to break contact with the floor. We're just going to make them light. So it's going to be just like this intention of lifting, but without actually lifting. So go ahead and roll into your arch. Pelvis rolls towards your heels. Pause in the arch, and then just intend to make your feet light. And as soon as you do that, you'll feel the tension increase in your lower back. And then from there, just slowly let everything relax. Back to rest. So in this one, we're contracting our lower back and our hip flexors at the same time. Arch the back. Make the feet light. Slowly relax all efforts back to rest. And we'll do that just two more times. Arching the back, making the feet light. So now we're contracting all the muscles that pull us into an anterior pelvic tilt, the hip flexors and the low back. And then we're slowly letting them relax so that we can find a new, more natural resting position for the pelvis. All right, last time, back arches, make the feet light, and then slowly and carefully relax all the way back to rest. Final movements, hands behind the head. So now that we've relaxed the hip flexors in the back a little bit, we're going to use a curling movement to further lengthen out the back. So we're going to arch first, make the feet light like you were doing before. Slowly let all that relax. And now press your feet a little into the ground. Let your tail roll up off the table, off the floor, as you curl up a little bit like so. So now you're going into posterior pelvic tilt. And then slowly relax back to the floor. And we'll just repeat that two more times. Arch the back, make the feet light, slowly relax, back comes down, press your feet into the floor, round the back and curl up, letting your tail roll up off the floor. And then slowly relax back to rest. And one final time, arching, making the feet light, slowly relaxing all those efforts. Back flattens, elbows in. Press through your feet a little bit to help yourself curl up and feel your tail roll up off the floor. And from there, just slowly relax back to rest. Okay, lay out flat and see how that feels. So if you can remember what it felt like to lay on the ground at the beginning and how your pelvis and your low back felt, just compare that to what you have now. Again, you can use your hands to check as your low back come closer to the floor. And even without your hands, perhaps you can feel that your low back is actually sitting on the floor now, nice and comfortable. So that's an example of how you can use somatic movements to address a particular issue quickly and easily. If you found that useful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.